San Jacinto was a mixture of things for me. The origin was from a hotel porter in the Midwest of America. And we used to drive around in a couple of cars in those days and pulled in after a gig to this hotel, and the guy met us to take the bags. And I got chatting with him, and he said his mind was distracted a bit because he just had a phone call saying his apartment was burning down in the city. And he was worried because he had a cat there. So it appeared he didn't have any means of getting over there. There was no public transport at that time of night. So I offered to drive him in the car. So I did that, and we stood outside his burning apartment, and he was freaking out. He wasn't in the least concerned about any of his possessions, which amazed me, but he was concerned about the cat. And then a neighbor appeared who had actually managed to get the cat out. And we went back afterwards and back to the hotel and spent, a long time talking. And it appeared that he had been an Apache brave and had been held on a trumped-up murder charge and had to move to the Midwest. I don't know if he was escaping that or not, but he started telling me too about his initiation, and that when boys, I don't know if it was when they became sexually mature or reached the age of 14, but they would be taken up. And you find this in a lot of traditional cultures, that there's some confrontation with death around puberty. And he would be taken up to the mountain by the medicine man, and the medicine man had this old sack that he was carrying, and in there were rattlesnakes, and he then pulled out the rattlesnake until the snake had bitten the boy's arm. And he was then left because they believed that you would have visions as a result of the poison. If you made it back down to the village, you were a fully qualified brave, and if you didn't make it down, you were probably dead. So it was, and I think he was away several days, but managed to get down. And anyway, he'd also told me about tying ribbons to trees, and just some of the whole connection with nature. And I'd been very fascinated by a lot of Native American culture, and was reading books like Black Elk Speaks, and meeting some chiefs, and so then when I was climbing up San Jacinto, which is this mountain outside of Palm Springs, I started noticing some ribbons on the trees and thinking. So I brought this whole sort of initiation story back to me, and I began thinking of a song. At the same time, you go past, a bit in Palm Springs area, but definitely in Arizona and other states where you'd see Native American culture being used to sell fast food or discotheques at the time, or whatever it was. And so in a way, there was something still alive in nature, and something that had been turned into a commercial tool by often the white culture, but it was a different reflection of the Native American presence in America. So that began the song, and but it was a sort of journey song in the same way that it was a journey for the initiation of this boy.
Thick cloud, steam rising, hissing stone on sweat lodge fire. Around me buffalo robe, sage and bundle rub on skin. Outside cold air, stand and wait for rising sun. Red paint, eagle feathers, coyote calling, it has begun. Something moving in, I taste it in my mouth and in my heart. It feels like dying slow. Letting go of life.
If you listen to the two different versions of San Jacinto, you know, in the first you'll hear some of the sort of Steve Reich elements, and we worked a lot on processing the different natural sounds, so you get this sort of little cloud, slightly electronic cloud around the instruments, and the texture gradually builds, and then you get the climax with what are sampled strings. And obviously with the orchestra, all this is translated into natural instruments, and you can pay off. There's a section about an eagle flies down from the sun, and that's, I think, the emotional peak of the song for me, and it just opens up on natural instruments.
Hold the line, San Jacinto, yellow eagle flies down from the sun, from the sun.